Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dr. Heidi's Healthy Habits. I like to call these my basic treatment guidelines. So, the first one we're going to talk about is hydrotherapy. Hydrotherapy is everything because we have this healing power of water, and we want to use the healing power of water to help our bodies and help our cells heal and stimulate the vital force. We are water. So everything in our body is connected with water. 60 to 85%, depending on the source you look at, depending on how hydrated you are at the moment, is where we are with our water saturation. We were created in water, right? If you think about, a baby in the placenta, we're swimming around in a whole mess of water in there. So even from the moment that we were conceived, we had this water conversation in our life, and our relationship with water started even back then. This is the big important point with water within our body. So all of our cells have this electricity that they have within us in order to make us run. So if you look at all of these little pictures over here, and we have these synapses, is what they're called. This is like an electrical spark that happens within our body. And this electrical spark within these synapses can't happen without water. Water is the number one conductor of electricity. So this looks like electricity because it is electricity, and we are created with electricity within our body using this water. So we need to stay hydrated, and we need this in order to happen. So if you think about our brain, right, our brain is going to connect to the spinal cord. That right there is a synapse that's going to happen between the brain and the spinal cord. They aren't touching. So we have, brain neuron here, spinal cord neuron here. They aren't touching. So this space in between, the synaptic space, is where the hormones, the neurotransmitters, everything is getting released. And that is full of water. So every electrical conduction, and then from the spinal cord, we'll have another synapse that's going to go out to our fingers and our toes and our organs and kind of tell the body what's happening, right? We have the motor neurons that are coming from our hands and our feet, from the extremities. And then we have the sensory neurons that can come as well, teaching us, telling us if we are feeling something or if we're moving or things like that. And all of that is connected through water as well. Not only do we need hydrotherapy that we're going to talk a lot about today, which is a topical application of water, but we also need hydration. Hydration is key. In order for all this to happen, half our body weight in ounces of water a day is the recommended dose that we drink. Some people want us to drink a little bit more. I live in the mountains of Colorado. I'm on the top of a mountain. And so we need a little bit more water up here because it is so dry. So the more that we drink, the more that we are getting this amazing effect of electricity within us. I have lots of complaints come through my door, things like tiredness or, fatigue, depression. And if you think about some of those conditions, right, where our body is just a little bit listless, right? We're not feeling well. We don't have the motivation to do things. Well, maybe that's because we aren't making this electricity happen within our cells. And so, if we create this electricity, we would have more energy. We would have a happier state of mind because things are actually happening in a good way for us because of the water. So, I'll get a lot of people in with those complaints. And my number one thing for them is drink more water, especially at this elevation. Most people tend to be dehydrated more than not. So I'll have them increase their water. You also want to make sure that you're drinking the right water. So distilled water, reverse osmosis water, all of the minerals, all the pollution, all the fluoride, all the chlorine is getting taken out of your water, and you're left with just pure H2O. Now, this is fine. However, electricity needs molecules, right? We need positive and negative ions in order for this electricity to be really powerful. So you want to make sure that you have electrolytes within your water too. If you are a reverse osmosis drinker, make sure that you're adding some trace minerals back in. Don't ever buy distilled water to drink. You should buy spring water to drink, unless you're doing a neti pot, or things like that. We don't want to be drinking the distilled water. We want this hydration to happen. Hydration happens when we have not only clean water, but also the right mineral content as well. Wash and be healed. Even in biblical times, we talked about hydrotherapy. Jesus talked about hydrotherapy, using this water as therapy. Hippocrates, who is the father of modern medicine, he even talked about, having his patients go into a cold stream when they were feeling sick, and that will help them feel well again. So hydrotherapy has been around as long as humankind has been around. If you take a look at this picture, also just knowing what we know about more ancient societies, all of these cultures were built around water. We had rivers or streams or the ocean that we set up our cities were around water, not only for the hydrotherapy benefits that Hippocrates and Jesus were talking about, but also just because this is our source of food. And we can get fish from the streams in Colorado, and other places around the country and the world where they have natural hot springs, these warm tubs that we can be in. Even the Native Americans sought refuge within these hot springs, whether it was in the wintertime to just warm up, or if somebody was ailing. Hot springs tend to have, or any springs that are coming out of the ground, tend to have more of a mineral content as well. And so those that can be healing within our body too. So thinking about, that type of use as the water as well. So, water is an amazing substance. It can be three different forms, all within the same H2O molecule. So, we can have ice as water. This is the solid form of water. For hydrotherapy, we often use ice for reducing the swelling and the pain. If you've heard of athletes taking an ice bath after their injuries, or after a long training session or a long workout, it is going to constrict your blood vessels, take all of the blood out of your blood vessels and make them really, really tight. So that area, think about frostbite, right? We lower the amount of circulation that we get to our fingers and our toes or wherever we're super cold, so that we don't injure that tissue. So we want to kind of stop blood flow. So think about that. They are saying now, therapists and things are saying that we don't want to use ice as much for an injury because, again, it's stopping all of that blood flow. What we want when we're injured is we want to move the blood flow. So I like doing an alternating of hot and cold, and we're going to talk about that coming up. We also have water as liquid. This is the most commonly used form of water, right? You drink it, you bathe in it. This is what we can use if we need to cool off or we need to heat up. If you're outside shoveling snow on a really cold day and you want to come in and use your hot bath to make you warm. Or if you're shoveling dirt on a hot summer day, you can use water from your hose and cool yourself off. So that's hydrotherapy as well. So you're probably doing hydrotherapy at home, you don't even know about it. And then we also can use the vapor form of water, steam. And so this is another one good if you have like a steam room and you're going to use it as like a detox to really heat up your body in a comfortable way and let out some of these toxins. We can also use it to relax our muscles. It opens up our pores. So if you're sick, you can do a steam vapor where you put maybe some sprigs of peppermint into a pot that you're boiling on the stove. Turn off the heat. Before you do this, you don't want this actively boiling on you, but you can, put your head over the pot and get this steam inhalation with the peppermint leaves. And it's really good for opening up your sinuses, for clearing up airways, for congestion. That's super helpful also. So those are our ways that we can use different types of water. And because there's different types of water, it's not even that we should call this hydrotherapy, but maybe we should call it thermotherapy. So heat conduction is used through water to transfer heat around different areas, kind of like I alluded to. So we should be calling this more of a thermotherapy kind of thing. And all of that we're doing with this is that we're stimulating the vital force. It's not the water that's healing you. It is the water that's used on your body to stimulate your own healing powers within the body to create this healing power within us. The vis or prana or chi. We have lots of different ways of saying this in different cultures that we go through, but this healing power of nature, in naturopathic medicine, we call it the vital force. This is what, when you get a cut, this is what heals you from that. You're tired and you wake up in the morning, right? It's the vital force that is pulling you awake. So stimulating the vital force in order to stimulate this healing process is the therapy that we're doing with this. And if we can make our vital force stronger, we can make our whole body stronger and we can have a better outcome in life. So, one of the things that I talk about to my patients is doing hydrotherapy not necessarily is easy, but it can be that hard thing that we do every morning or every day. It can make us mentally stronger. If you can do something challenging in the morning, whether that's hydrotherapy or a good exercise or reading chapters in your book, if you can do that in the morning, the rest of your day seems a little bit easier because you know that you've tackled this like big major project. It also makes us physically stronger. It is going to create white blood cells to make our immune system stronger. It's also going to heal our injuries a lot easier as well. And then this personally stronger, right? Not everybody has to know that you're doing these hydrotherapy techniques, but you'll know for yourself and you'll know that you can do this and you have a way of healing your body without medication, without doctors, for free at home. So it's a pretty cool therapy that we have to use at our fingertips. Here are some of the things that hydrotherapy directly is doing for us. So it's increasing this white blood production. White blood cells are the immune centers or the immune molecules of our body. So they're the scavengers, okay? When we get an infection, it's the white blood cells that are going out and saying, hey, here's the infection. Let's neutralize it. Let's get rid of it. So we want more of those white blood cells. Doing hydrotherapy, especially when you do it for a length of time, it's really going to stimulate that white blood cell, which is going to enhance your immune function. So not only are we creating these cells, these white blood cells, but we're also enhancing blood flow. So like I was saying earlier, when you have a cold application, your vessels are all going to come together and constrict. Maybe you'll even shiver, and this is creating more heat within your body. So you're creating your own ability to enhance this blood flow, enhance your body tissue itself. And then, so that's a cold application. If you have a warm application, we're dilating the blood vessels. So lots and lots of blood flow can get through. And the more blood flow that we have moving through, the more blood we have in those places. And let's say you have a sprain, like let's say you sprained your ankle. So we don't want to constrict the area unless you're looking for a pain relief, because that is, helpful for the pain relief to restrict it. But if you want that ankle to actually heal, you want to get a lot of these white blood cells down into that place. There's certain areas of the body and certain ligaments that don't get blood flow. And as soon as that thing is sprained, doctors know right away, well, we're not going to get a lot of blood flow to that area, like your medial meniscus on your knee. You're not going to get a lot of blood flow to that area. So the likelihood of your body being able to heal it is a lot lower. But if we can apply these hot and cold applications to those areas, you're going to get more blood flow and you're going to get a better healing response. So the way that I like to do the hydrotherapy is that we always start with a warm application if we're doing it for an injury. So you want to start with warm, warm up that ankle that you've just injured, whether it's a heating pack or a hot towel or a foot bath, and then add a cold towel. And you can just take a hand towel, get it wet with cold water, wring it out really good, and put it over that ankle. Don't add ice. Don't have, peas or frozen things that you're adding to it. You want it to be like a hand towel that your body is able to warm back up. Your body will get a lot of benefit from just saying, oh, here's all of that blood flow. I'm able to warm up this towel and this towel is going to stay warm. And that helps the body as well. So it can make us stronger in that way. I also like to think about it as like a full body detox when we're doing this hydrotherapy, because every time that you have to constrict and then open and constrict and open your blood vessels, everything is moving through your liver and your kidneys and it's detoxing things in general. This is a whole body health tonic. So it just makes you a stronger person, more energetic, more alive, less depression, feeling better. It's cleansing your body. So in naturopathic medicine, we really believe that there are certain reasons that we are going to get sick. So sickness occurs when we have this accumulation of toxins. And by golly, no matter where you live, even on the top of the mountain, we can't get away from these toxins. They spray them in the air, they're everywhere. Words that we don't know when we're looking at the ingredients in our food, right? And those aren't supposed to be in our body. So we accumulate these toxins within us. And then those toxins create this sluggish blood and lymph system. So we're not moving, the blood isn't moving as well through the body either. And then that creates this lack of oxygen and nutrients to the cells. So all of these things together are creating the sickness. And so if we can start one by, reducing the amount of toxins coming in, moving the blood so that we can detox through the liver and the kidneys, we'll get more oxygen and nutrients to our body and we're going to feel better. We're going to heal more. So that gets me started on my favorite form of hydrotherapy. This magic socks you can do at home or anywhere that you have your socks with you. It's really good for helping anything of the head and neck. So congestion, headaches, sore throat, ear infections, even insomnia and hot flashes. If you can't sleep at night, you should grab some magic socks and put them on your feet, and they will really help you to feel better and to start sleeping. So what they are is you take regular cotton socks, like ankle socks is what I like to use. Again, get them wet with cold water, wring them out good so that they're damp, but make sure that they're covered in the cold water and then put them on your feet. And then from there, you want to put like wool socks or some kind of heavier sock, like a hiking sock or a comfy sock on top of that, so that yes, you have that cold application of water right to your skin, but then you can also cover it up with this warm sock so that you feel a little more comfy. And so when there's cold on your feet, the first thing your body says is, gosh, we need to warm up these feet. We don't want them to be cold. So it's going to send all of the heat and all of the blood that's in your head, and it's going to send them down into your feet. And it's going to send your congestion down. If you have a cold and you do magic socks, you can feel your congestion breaking up in your sinuses. If you have a migraine, if you have a headache, right? All of that heat and that awareness from your head is coming down now into your feet, warming up those cold socks. So not only are those cold, wet socks going to get warmer, but you're also going to start feeling better. And then, of course, that blood has to filter through your liver and your kidneys on the way down. And so magic socks are a great healing idea for anybody who's looking to heal themselves naturally with hydrotherapy. Another easy at-home application that you can do are cold showers. This can be a quick addition to any morning routine or evening routine, whenever it is that you take showers. So again, we have this vital force. Our vital force was meant for like thousands and thousands of years ago, right? Tens of thousands of years ago, not for 2024, but in 2024 we can still use these principles. So we never used to have warm water. We would always be showering with cold, and we would get this stimulus and we would start feeling the body, and then we have this cold application on us, and it's not like the body's just going to let us sit and be cold. No, it's going to heat itself up. So we create that vasoconstriction with the cold shower, and then the body is going to vasodilate afterwards. So you can do this just at the end of your shower, right? Do a little bit of this hydrotherapy, this cold water, and then jump out. So scientifically, if you can stay in for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, that's a really good time for this hydrotherapy to happen. Once you get out, dry yourself off, but don't put your heater on, don't look to warm up in external ways. Your body is going to warm you up. And that's where the therapy is coming in, is with your body warming up your cells. So cold showers are an easy way. Do it at the end of your shower. If you need to start with just your ankles and your wrists and just getting those cold and pulling them out, right? But eventually your body will get strong enough so that you can go underneath like she is, right? This underneath the water, 30 seconds to 2 minutes every single morning or an evening when you take your shower. Now, here's a nice warm, hot application that we can do with hydrotherapy too. So again, I like to do this when patients have, really low grade fever or they're not feeling good. So they're at like 99 to 102, somewhere in that range where your body is just starting to mount the fever and we want to heat it up a little more. So it's hot, hot, hot. There's three hots. Hot tub of water that you are going to be in, hot tea that you're going to drink while you're in the water, and then a nice hot bed or some flannel pajamas that you're going to warm up in once you get out of the water. So get yourself nice and warm. If you can go all the way up to your ears, so if you're submerged in the water all the way up to your ears, you get your throat, you're getting your vital organs, your thymus, which is controlling a lot of the white blood cell release. You can get all of those things under the water, nice and hot. You're going to increase your body temperature. The heating up of the body temperature is also going to kill off the bacteria, kill off the viruses. So that's why we mount the fever in the first place. So we want to get that fever to really grow and heat itself up within this. So, create that fire, create that burn within you. Drink the hot tea. So, not only are you getting the hot application on the outside, but you're getting the hot application on the inside. Again, telling the bugs that they don't belong here and that our body's going to, cure itself. And then after you get out, yes, towel yourself off. This isn't necessarily the time to be cold. So, you want to wrap yourself in a warm flannel blanket or flannel pajamas, doing something to keep your body very, very warm. And then get into bed and sweat it out, get that heat to grow. If you have somebody living with you, you can do this and have magic socks on. So you can kind of double the hydrotherapy. So once you're nice and warm and you're comfortable in your bed, have somebody else do your magic socks and put them on your feet. And all of that heat that we're creating is again going to start moving through the system. And it's all about improving circulation. We really want this circulation to improve. I have lots of patients who have Raynaud's syndrome, and Raynaud's is where your hands and feet get super, super cold. And that's how we see it as a patient is they're like, well, I'm just cold all the time. My feet are cold all the time. They're not relating it to the vasculature and they're not relating it to, well, I'm not getting blood flow to my hands and my feet, but that's what's happening. So if we can do these applications of hot and cold and do these magic socks more often, even though at the moment the patient is looking at me like, no way am I putting cold, wet socks on my feet. Well, if you can warm your feet up first, right? We always start with warm before we bring the cold application on. You warm your feet up first, get them to feel nice and cozy, and then you put on the magic socks. Now, you can also do this with magic hands, right? You can put gloves on instead of the socks, or even on your belly. Let's say that you're having lots of cramping for a period, or your gut isn't moving the way that you want to. Put a cold, wet towel over your belly and, put a warm towel on top of that, and then do that before you go to sleep at night. But whatever you're doing, we're increasing the circulation within the body. And if we can increase the circulation, we can move these toxins, we can move the stagnation of the blood and lymph, we can heal the body, we can affect the vital force. This last one, if anybody has been, up on the hydrotherapy world or even on TikTok and Instagram, cold plunges are the new cool thing to do, enhancing your vitality, enhancing your recovery. It even helps with fat metabolism and weight loss and things like this. But cold plunges have again been around, as long as humans have been around, because this is the way that we shock the system and improve the vital force. We improve the strength of the body in order to get better. So I have a little story. We actually was Labor Day weekend, and my family and I wanted to go up deeper into the mountains and go get some fresh air and some fresh water from our streams. And so we found ourselves a little campground and we walked up this cute little trail to this beautiful stream that was flowing, and somebody had dammed it up. So it was a stream that created this little bath. And it was a freezing cold bath. Don't get me wrong, this was not a warm, hot spring by any means, but it was, this beautiful waterfall to this little bath and then another stream down below. As soon as my kids saw this, and they are 2 years old and 4 years old, as soon as they saw it, they started stripping all of their clothes off. They took their shoes off, their pants off, and wanted to jump into the water. And my 4 year old was so funny. He just stood on the shore and just boom, cannonball right in. And again, it's not very, it wasn't a very deep water, but right away he went, "Whoa, mom, this is so cold." And he scurried around and he got himself all wet and he jumped right out. And then, the 2 year old brother followed him and jumped right out. And then they had their Tonka trucks. And so they started throwing in all of their trucks into the water. And of course, if you throw the truck in, you got to go back in and grab it. So they were in the water, out of the water, and they were doing their cold plunge and then getting out, letting their body, heat itself up, go back in, vasoconstrict, come back out, vasodilate, right? They didn't know what the mechanism was happening, but it doesn't matter because they felt amazing. And we went to that mountain stream that day with a little bit of runny noses. The kids just started preschool, so they're bound to get the inevitable little preschool sickness. But by the time we left that day, they were feeling amazing. They, their colds were starting to clear up. They slept the whole way home because they tired themselves out. But for the next few days after that, their white blood cells were stronger, their mood was better. It just enhances your whole body. So for us to be able to do that right before talking about this topic was super powerful because I could see the healing power of nature working within my family right then and there. So you don't have to have a cold mountain stream in order to do this. You can fill up a barrel outside of your house and just, go into that as you want in the mornings or in the evenings. You can also do it in a bathtub. I've had lots of patients tell me that they'll just fill up their bathtub with cold water and every morning do this cold plunge so that they don't have to keep draining the bathtub and refilling it. They get the benefit without using a bunch of water. You can have some kind of standing water that you let be there. I've even heard of people doing chest freezers, and they'll fill up their old chest freezer with water and do cold plunges in that. So there's lots of ways to get this therapy in. Don't go out and spend a lot of money. Make this affordable. I want all of these to be these free treatments that you guys can do at home to really stimulate your vital force.